Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Nightmare Echoes podcast. I'm your host, Eleazar. I have today with me co-host Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
Hey, I'm Stephen. I enjoy being here, and we're going to talk about the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween from 2007, and I'm excited to be here again.
Right. So you picked this movie as your first movie to do on this podcast. What drew you to this movie?
I actually got a strong emotional reaction when I first watched this, and I think it's because even though this movie's in the horror genre, I felt like it had a lot of dramatic or drama pulled in, like with the character development and exposition of the characters, and the development specifically of Mike Myers, I thought was interesting in comparison to the old 1978 version.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the story about his childhood. Rob Zombie came to the Weinstein brothers when they offered the movie to him, and he said he wanted to do one full movie about Michael Myers' childhood, and then one full movie about him as an adult, and they said no. So that's why the first, percentage of the movie is his childhood, like, I don't know, 25, 40 minutes, something like that, is about his childhood. And then the rest is about an adult, because he wanted to do two separate films about those. But I do love the exploration as an adult. And while a lot of people out there, I know a lot of people said we didn't need this or maybe want this, I know that before it came out, it's something that I wanted. I was like, why did he turn evil? What do we know about him? And at least in this world, his family sucks.
Yeah.
Like, completely.
Oh, for sure.
Completely.
Yeah. I was going to say his family clearly has issues. In the original 1978 version, the family just appears kind of respectable, and there's sort of, to quote the SNL Kenan Thompson, the scariest thing to the mind is the unknown, and there's sort of like an unknown aspect of like, okay, who's this family? They appear respectable, what's going on? With the new version, clearly the family has issues. There's a lot of character development. Michael Myers is a deranged kid. He's routinely doing things like killing animals.
Right. He kills his rat in the beginning, and then he's got an animal in his locker, and he's got all these photographs of all these animals he's tortured and killed.
And that's sort of where I got pulled into this movie, because I felt like this character started becoming relatable. I think we can all relate to bullying or family situations in some way, not as extreme as Michael Myers had it, but in some way, we can see that in our own lives one way or another. And then this character becomes relatable, and there's this backstory to him that wasn't in the original.
Right. I mean, we definitely see the bullying through, Daryl Sabara, who was one of the Spy Kids, which I think is hilarious, has grown up as a bully, who's named Wesley in this movie. He comes to him into the bathroom with another guy, and they show him a picture of his mother, and they say, like, hey, I heard your mother will do this inappropriate act for $1, and your sister will do this inappropriate act for just $0.25. And he, actually busts out a nude picture of his mom, because it's in the advertisement, which, I mean, I would get into a fight, too. I would start beating them up. Oh, man. But yeah, so, I mean, yeah, not only is his family horrible, I mean, his stepdad is an asshole. Like, big time. He, threatens to skull fuck the mother, right, with the babies right there. And he starts checking out his teenage stepdaughter inappropriately, saying inappropriate things about her. So you know right away that he's kind of messed up. In the younger scene, too, Michael has a different mask, which I loved, that clown mask. Which is, I guess the original Michael in 1978 had a clown mask. He was wearing a clown costume in the beginning. So I think that was still a nod to that. But I liked it.
For sure, yeah, it was a shout out to the old movie. And I also noticed that the boyfriend of his sister had the original Michael Myers mask, and he was wearing it. I thought that was interesting.
He had a little fetish. He wanted to keep having sex with the mask on. She's like, absolutely not, which is pretty funny.
And I just want to say, full disclosure, I watched the extended director's cut.
Right, and I watched the theatrical. Release. So we can...
Go ahead.
No, we can talk about the differences, as we get to them. We can say what happened. But I guess going through it, we open up, his parents are arguing, they're complete jerks. Or at least the dad's a jerk. The mom seems like she's struggling to try to keep a household of 3 children going. Michael's in the bathroom, he gets bullied. We cut to the principal coming in to stop them, and that's where Michael isn't grateful at all that he stopped him. And, he cusses him out, which gets him in trouble, so they call his mom in. And this is where we meet Dr. Loomis. And for me, Dr. Loomis, compared to the original, now played by Malcolm McDowell, came in looking like a rock star. He's got his shades on, his long hair. He's too cool for school, and I think it's hilarious. He's the one that shows the mom the pictures of the dead animals. So this is why the principal has called them in there. Michael is right outside the principal's office, so he can hear that they want to put him in therapy. They want to talk to him, see what's wrong with him. So he jumps up, he goes to his locker, he gets his mask, the clown mask. And that's when the iconic music, we first hear the iconic music in this movie.
Oh, I love the music in the new movie. In the newer movie, in 2007 version, I liked how they kept the original John Carpenter music, but they also had, I thought, really awesome music. You know, it's Rob Zombie. So they had a rendition of Mr. Sandman that was playing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was from, I think, the original Halloween 2. They were playing the Chordettes' Mr. Sandman. I liked the rendition. I liked all of the music.
Yeah. And so then we see the bullies outside the school. They're talking about how they need to wait till the weekend to beat up Michael, but they're going to get him. And then they split up. Wesley goes on foot. The other guy goes on a bike. And we follow Wesley because it's Michael following Wesley. And he grabs this giant tree branch and starts beating the crap out of him. And the bully at first is like, he starts with, "You're fucking dead." And it slowly turns into, "Please stop." And his eyes go bloodshot. He can tell right away that he is not winning this fight. He's about to die. And instead of like the original where Michael's first kill was his sister, in this one, Michael's first kill is a bully.
I thought that was interesting too. I also thought that, you know, the original movie, his choice of weapon at the beginning was that knife. And in this movie, you see multiple types of weapons and methods of killing his victims. And he's attacking not only this one kid, but other animals and people in the town and murdering them.
Right, yeah. So there's a lot more. I do like this backstory. I like the actor that played him in the first one. Deej Farch, I think. I don't know.
The young boy who played Michael Myers.
Right. Yeah. I'm not good with that name.
He's much older, though, than the original one, too, because the original Michael Myers, when he killed his sister, I believe was 6.
Okay,
and
sure.
In this movie,
he's 10.
He's a 10-year-old, yeah.
Right.
He's got a baby sister already, which wasn't in the original movie either.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not brought up till part 2.
That's true.
That Lori
it
is
wasn't
his sister.
clear.
It was never mentioned in the first one.
And there was no baby there at the original Myers house in the 1978.
And this baby in this movie is Angel Myers. That they give her a different first name before she's adopted. Michael gets back home and his stepfather's making fun of him for killing a cat. He's calling, you know, a little whiny bitch. And Michael's just sitting there watching TV. And I think on TV is a Thing from Another World. The original The Thing movie before John Carpenter's Thing, which is interesting. That's a throwback because they watched that in the original Halloween as well.
Yeah. They had horror movies playing while the kids were kind of hanging out. I noticed a lot of different movies they were playing.
I guess I'm guilty of that too. I'm trying to get my kids always to see what they can watch, which is too funny. So then Michael's complaining that his sister Judith isn't going to take him trick-or-treating, and the mom says, "Hey, take him trick-or-treating. I have to go to work." His mom works at the strip club, as we established earlier in the bathroom scene with the bullies. And she says she will until the mom leaves, and then Steve shows up, her boyfriend, and they go upstairs, and she tells Michael he can go by himself. And then we have this weird montage of Michael sitting outside crying. We hear a bunch of people trick-or-treating, and we also see his mom pole dancing while the song "Love Hurts" plays overhead, and
That's
it's just like a weird back and forth montage
yeah.
to really show you his feels, like he's in pain, he's hurting. And then we cut to Michael puts down the clown mask. We cut to his sister and his boyfriend having sex. This is where we see the mask. There is a funny sticker on the bed. Did you catch it?
No,
it says, "Learn from your parents' mistakes, use birth
Oh,
control."
I did see that.
Use birth control. That's awesome. And so he's like, he asked her, "Hey, what if your dad hears?" And she's like, "My dad's in heaven. That guy down there is just a prick." So, but yeah, we pull out the Halloween mask. Michael comes back in the house and his dad's asleep. Michael's just eating candy at the kitchen. Candy corn. Worst candy ever. I guess he didn't get much options. I don't know. But then he pulls out the duct tape. His stepdad had to be the most intense sleeper ever.
He was drunk.
Yeah.
You saw him drinking.
Right.
In
So,
the movie, so
I mean, he took the time
he's probably
to
passed out.
do, I don't know, like 20 times around his body with that duct tape. And
Dude
then,
was still passed out.
And he was still passed and then he slit his throat, which he could have just slit his throat instead of taping him, but I guess he was worried that he would fight back.
But there
he is
comes the
smaller.
knife. I was genuinely excited to see this knife. It was weird. I was like, oh, that's a shout out to the old one.
Right,
and then the
right.
mask that the boyfriend had on, which you mentioned.
So I read that when he was a kid, they had him hold a 10-inch knife or a 10-inch blade, but in his adult he held a 12-inch blade. I think it's just because he's so much bigger that they need the blade to look bigger.
Make it look bigger.
Right. I don't know, maybe. So the boyfriend comes down after he kills his stepdad. Steve comes down and he starts making himself a sandwich. Michael's armed with a baseball bat, and he hits him over the head first.
That aluminum bat.
And he just starts beating him out to death. The difference between the boyfriends in the movies, right? For the original movie, that boyfriend goes up the stairs and he's back downstairs in like less than a minute and 30 seconds. Like he's already finished the job. And I guess that saved his life. Because he's so bad at it. But this guy, I guess, is more successful.
It was the mask that he had on.
The mask?
Yeah.
So after he kills him, he goes upstairs. His sister's listening to Don't Fear the Reaper, which I do love that song, with headphones on. And Michael gets really frisky with his sister. Well, first he puts down the clown mask, and he puts on the classic, iconic Michael Myers mask.
That's when I thought things were going to get serious. I thought that this is the old Michael Myers that I was used to from the old movie.
Right.
When he picked it up, I thought that maybe the movie would start following the old storyline a little closer.
Yeah. It does a little. Or at least when we get to the next half of the movie, right, when he's an adult. But yeah, so he puts on the mask. He starts like feeling on his sister's leg, and she thinks Steve just wants to go at it again until she looks over and sees Michael, starts freaking out. Then Michael pulls out the knife. He stabs her, but not enough to kill her. He lets her slowly walk down the hall, and then he follows her and he stabs her a few times until she dies. And then Michael goes to check on the baby Angel, pulls her outside. He calls her Boo. It's like, Happy Halloween, Boo.
I thought it was interesting that Mike Myers doesn't kill the baby. I thought that was weird too. We
wouldn't have had the rest of the movie.
The original, yeah. In the original Halloween 2, though, he's in this hospital and he's brutally murdering all of the adults there. But then he's in the room with the babies. He doesn't touch them. I still don't understand the character development there.
Sure. I mean, the original one, though, he runs into Tommy Doyle at the school and he lets him go. But he also does try to follow him to see if he will lead him to Lori. Like, he's like following him in the station wagon for a while. So, I don't know. But I feel like this Michael does leave kids alone.
Yeah, like the younger ones in particular.
Right. Yeah. I mean, teenagers are fair game.
Yeah, ones that are more mature. Yeah. He even kisses Boo.
Yeah, exactly. So he's outside holding Boo when his mom comes home. And then we cut to a news report showing that 3 people were murdered and Michael's been arrested. 11 months goes by. And he's at Smith Grove's psychiatric hospital. He's been transferred after being convicted of first-degree murder. And then the news says it's like the most expensive murder case in history or something.
It's kind of weird. So I thought the original Michael Myers, to do a comparison, it was sort of creepy because he stopped talking. He didn't talk anymore. And in this one, Michael's fully interacting with Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis actually came into the picture earlier in this 2007 version of the movie, and he's interacting with his mom. They're having almost normal conversations. In the original movie, he just completely shut down, if you will, to use a quote from Dr. Loomis.
Right.
And he didn't talk at all for 15 years.
Right. Well, also, though, because we start with the kill, and he saw it in that part, he never spoke at all. In fact, throughout every movie before this one, Michael has never said a word, right? So if this is this the 10th movie? The 9th movie? This is the 9th movie, right? Because we had Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, 4, 5, 6, which was Curse. Then we had H2O, Resurrection. So this is the 9th movie. So, and in those first 8, Michael has never said a word. Of course, he wasn't in part 3. It's a totally different movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen 3?
Well, yes, and so I think that the original... Well, I had heard that the original idea for the Halloween movies was to have a different storyline for each one.
Right. And so John Carpenter did. He wanted to make a different movie right away, but because the first Halloween movie made so much money, the studio made him make a sequel. And
people loved Mike Myers.
Right. And so because of that, when he finally went with the anthology route and made number 3, while it's taken a lot of people a long time to love it, and I do love part 3. I know it's not Michael Myers, but I do love Season of the Witch.
That's the one with the masks, correct?
Right, I have the collector's edition,
so there was a lot of...
I love this movie.
There was a lot of pulling in aspects of this movie, though, because they had pumpkin masks. I noticed throughout this movie, it was It was
Right.
pretty cool how they Rob Zombie and others
Yeah,
have
so
pulled
when
those in.
Rob Zombie approached John Carpenter about, hey, they've asked me to make it, what do you think? John Carpenter told him to make it your own movie. Like, you don't need to, you don't need to make mine, change it. And that's, so he felt more like he had a blessing to make this, I want to explore Michael Myers as a kid angle, which is pretty cool. But Michael in the asylum, he gets visited by his mom and Dr. Loomis, and he acts like he doesn't know the murders ever happened. He's like, hey, when can I see everybody else? How's everybody else doing? And the mom's like, doesn't understand. She doesn't want to tell him that, hey, you killed them all.
Yeah, Michael Myers clearly has mental illness, and both the original and the remake. But I noticed that maybe with the original, the mental illness was sort of left unchecked or maybe not developed much. In this movie, in the 2007 version, I noticed that there seems to be more of an understanding of his mental illness, even sort of hinting at a personality split. There's a discussion of progression by Dr. Loomis.
Sure.
And Dr. Loomis says that he's getting worse and he's shutting down at one point.
Sure. Yeah. We're also introduced to Danny Trejo's character, Ismael.
Oh, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see him.
I know. I love him. He was also from Spy Kids. Where he introduced the character Machete, which he had his own
Machete
movie later. But he tells Michael that he had spent some time behind bars and he can't let it get you down. He basically, tries to give him advice on how to survive behind walls. Anything else to say about him as a kid before we move on? He makes a lot of new masks. There's a lot of masks in
the masks were awesome. I thought that the new movie had a lot more masks, but I did notice that the remake, he was wearing the mask less. And so I felt like in the original, he was sort of hiding behind this mask. He would put it on to sort of hide from the world, get away from things. And in the remake, he was making a lot of masks.
Yeah.
But he really wasn't hiding behind them. And his room is great. There's masks
they're
everywhere.
There's way more than I wanted to count.
And just a shout out to the original movie. I noticed in the original Halloween, 1978, they have a picture on the wall there's some artwork on the wall. It was John Indore, and he was famous for making artwork with masks.
Okay.
And so I thought that was interesting how they kind of pulled that.
And that's in this room?
That's in the 1978 version.
But is it... Oh, okay. But do they reference it in this?
No, just the fact that he's got a lot of masks that look like John Indore's mask.
That's pretty cool. Oh, okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
But...
So the last thing that happens to him as a kid is that they're having lunch at the hospital and he's not eating, and Dr. Loomis takes his mom to walk outside to talk to her about his condition, and Dr. Loomis leaves her with the nurse. And then Michael grabs a fork. The nurse isn't paying attention. He starts stabbing her. I think the throat first. And then enough to kill her. Like, alarms are blaring. Loomis is like, what happened?
That fork,
man.
A different weapon again.
Yeah?
A different method of killing. He's all over it.
He does, yeah. I don't know that he has as many varieties of kills as Jason Voorhees. Because he keeps going back to some classic ones.
He's got his favorites.
He does.
But he does do that drowning in the scalding water, and I think Halloween 2 in the 1980s version. But then in this one, he drowns some male orderly. So
right, yeah, right. Was Danny Trejo?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't finish killing him. He gets there. We'll get there. But whatever. We'll talk about it. He puts him in the water and then lets him out. And then Danny Trejo is like, I've been good to you. And he kills him.
And he throws a TV on him.
Oh, that's right. That's
right.
very
so not a complete
that, and,
drowning. Just holding his head underwater like he did to the nurse.
Right. But yeah, so TV kills. I noted Scream, but even before that was Nightmare on Elm Street 3. In Nightmare on Elm Street 3, it's prime time, bitch. As Freddy grabs her and shoves her head into the TV. That's classic to me. All right, so 15 years later, let's back up a little bit. 15 years later, Danny Trejo is training a new employee, and this new employee is an asshole. Like, Danny Trejo actually treats people like human beings, and this new guy is like, he's, just treats them like shit. He doesn't care about them. He's like, hey, don't touch his mask. He's like, why do I care about some stupid, crazy guy? I don't remember the exact things he says, but we're set up to think this new guy's a jerk, and we're supposed to love Danny Trejo's character. So that just so much more to me when Danny Trejo is killed. It's so frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
So then we cut into them transferring Michael. Why do they always transfer Michael in these movies, man?
He has to get away. He has to escape. He's
So
got to have.
it's the only way.
They got to have excuses.
The security guards are joking about a donut. One security guard is like, "Do you know how much effort it takes to work off a donut?" The woman security officer here is played by Leslie Easterbrook. She's from Police Academy. Did you watch the Police Academies?
Oh yeah.
She's Sergeant Callahan, later Lieutenant Callahan.
We
in later
watched
movies.
the Police Academies together. When
Yeah,
we were young.
growing up. Yeah, totally. I love those movies. So when I saw her, I had to look that up to make sure. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Sergeant Callahan. I love that. And here, her name is Patty Frost, though. When they're moving Michael, they have him in chains, but yet they're complaining that he walks too slow. I'm like, he's in chains, guys. What do you expect him to do? But Michael is known for walking slow. So
unless he's playing hide and seek, then he's stealthy and he moves pretty quickly.
He does
he's
pretty
like
quickly. He comes out of nowhere magically. I know in every rendition, every director says there's nothing magical about Michael, but I call BS. There's times he teleports into the scene out of nowhere.
Yeah, how does he get into the house with the doors open?
Right.
Like,
right.
how does he open them?
I know we'll get there, but in the second one, there's the deputy that's watching Annie's house. He's outside in the lawn, and Michael just appears from the shadow behind the tree. But on the other side, the deputy would have seen him coming. He just comes and grabs his neck and starts choking him. So he can teleport. I mean, in my opinion, he can teleport. When they're moving him, he's wearing an orange mask. That's an interesting note. He's wearing, because he still doesn't have his other mask. I mean, I wouldn't think they would let him wear a mask. They let him get away with stuff that I wouldn't think that, real patients would get to do. I don't know. I don't work in the state asylum.
Yeah, he's a mental patient.
Right.
Like I mentioned, there's maybe more understanding of mental illness, and so maybe they're like trying to help him in some way.
Right.
Let him hide behind his mask.
So as they're going, there's like an anteroom with 2 locked doors. So Patty, the officer, locks the 3 guards with Michael in the room, and then that's when Michael breaks his chains, starts smashing one guy's head against the wall. He's beating them all up. Patty's trying to unlock the door. She unlocks it, points her shotgun. That's when Michael grabs one of the guards when she fires, and she kills one of the guards, not Michael. And then he goes in there, goes after Patty, grabs her by the throat, and just rips her throat out, which is crazy.
Yeah, I thought there was so much blood in the 2007 version compared to the original.
Oh,
it's
completely.
Like, just thinking about Lori in particular, like, she got a few scrapes and stuff in the original, but this one, the characters were covered in blood, the victims.
I think there's definitely differences here between the theatrical version and the director's cut. But Danny Trejo's coming back to work. He notices a phone ring, but there's no one there to answer it. We see behind the wall that another person, her name is Victoria, is dying. She also had her throat ripped out. We come across 2 other officers in the hallway, and that's when he says, "Michael, what are you doing out of your room?" And he tries to sweet talk him, and it looks like Michael's gonna go along with him until he tries to put the cuffs on him, and then that's when he kills Danny Trejo's character.
Yeah.
But he was good to him. That broke my heart. I wanted Danny Trejo to live.
It's interesting how Michael sort of takes his time with certain victims.
Sure.
And I think the ones that he has an emotional connection with, like maybe Danny Trejo's character, or his sister Lori, or Dr. Loomis, he takes his sweet time. He just doesn't, there's so many times where he just comes up behind with a knife and it's done.
Yeah, that's true. I also think there's times where he acts like an artist, where he'll hang up his work. He'll hang them in a certain way that, and admire them. He definitely has that iconic tilt the head to the right, tilt the head to the left as he checks out his art. We first saw it in Bob in the original 1978 one, where he hangs him by the wall by the knife. He stabs him through with the world's strongest industrial knives that this guy uses that holds his body out.
That happened in the 2007 version too, the remake.
Right. Which victim?
The boyfriend gets stabbed and he's held up on the wall.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's good. All right. Then we're introduced to Clint Howard, who plays Dr. Culbertson, who calls Loomis to let him know that he has escaped. Clint Howard, I grew up watching him in Star Trek. He played Star Trek from the age of 5, and then he appears in every incarnation of Star Trek that they will allow him to be in, including Enterprise, Star Trek Discovery. Every time they can get him in this show, he's in this show. He was also, for horror reasons, he's also the Ice Cream Man, and then he was also a tourist in Leprechaun 2, which are stupid, hilarious movies that I love. Oh, and then, of course, iconic. Rush's Tom Sawyer plays. We cut to a truck stop.
So much cool music.
Oh, I know. And then Ken Foray comes out playing Big Joe Grizzly, and I loved him from the 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Have you seen this movie?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I watched the 2.5-hour cut of this movie, and my kid could not make it through it. He was like, I'm done. Like it's too long, but I loved it. It was so good. Yeah. So every time I see him in a movie, I love that I get to see him there. And he's sporting these like Elvis type sideburns, which are like he's big. He's 6'5".
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Michael walks up, you see his grimy feet. They are dirty when he like on the other side of the stall, and Big Joe Grizzly's in there reading a porno magazine on the toilet, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna be a while. I'm using the restroom here. Gonna be a while, and it turns into like, hey, is there gonna be a problem here? He opens the door, and Michael is so massive, and so they get into a big fight.
Yeah, just an aside here. I love how Rob Zombie pulls in aspects of other movies and characters from other movies into his work.
Yeah.
And so there's a quote from Cool Hand Luke, what we've got here is a failure to communicate. And I thought that was great.
Right. So in this fight, you notice that Michael Myers is taller than Big Joe Grizzly, and the actor playing Michael is 6'8" and 3/4.
That's why he's huge.
He's like a retired football player, Tyler Maine.
Wrestler too, right?
Right. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, wrestler.
I'm sure
he's
I have it wrong.
He's a retired wrestler.
Okay.
That dude is huge.
Yeah. So anyway, he's massive. So that fight is crazy. They just start shoving everything. I think in production they actually destroyed a real restroom. I think they had to repair it, pay for its repairs.
I love the destruction in this movie.
It was good. I mean, they just you felt the shaking, and it was a good fight. I felt like Big Joe Grizzly put up a really good fight. But then Michael gets his clothes, so he gets that his kind of iconic look. Which in the first movie, 1978, he just killed a guy in a truck on the side of the road and took his clothes. And every time they review his kills, people talk about the kills he's done in the past with regard to that movie, they always forget that trucker because it wasn't like he was just found. Dr. Loomis didn't even find him, so no one ever noticed that he was killed by Michael. So it's just like the forgotten victim, which I think is funny.
Yeah. If I remember right, the trucker in the 1978 version had an old pickup truck or something.
Yeah.
But this new one
Big
I like the trucker in the new one.
Right. Right. So this is where Mr. Sandman plays when we're in Haddonfield on Halloween Day. We meet Laurie's family. Laurie's mom is played by Dee Wallace, which I love from Critters. She was also in Frighteners with Michael J. Fox, and then what I recently saw with my kids, 13 Fanboy, which was like a fan-made Friday the 13th follow-up where a fan of the movies goes to kill the real actresses from the movies. That's pretty cool. And then let's see here, another note here, we meet her dad who's complaining that the hardware store is closing down, and Laurie, who's played by Scout Taylor Compton, she doesn't portray Laurie as innocent as Laurie was in 1978. She starts off with using bagels as her boobs and talking about how the guy at the hardware store is a pervert. Mr. Nichols, which I thought was really funny.
But I did like how they stuck mostly with Laurie's character from the original because I love her character. I think she's sort of the innocence and... Yeah,
but I'm just saying she's less of
less innocent.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's willing to joke around a little bit more about the idea of sexuality, where I feel like Laurie from the original felt a little more didn't even want to joke about that stuff. She was too embarrassed to do it.
Yeah. I'm just glad her character doesn't change too much.
Right. So now we get a lot of things that are just like the original movie. Laurie's dad.
Well, there's the part where Michael goes and rips up the floor and pulls out his mask and his knife.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was a nice dramatic scene where he's just holding the mask and staring at it.
Right. I mean, he figured out where to hide it. Yeah.
He stashed it.
Right. So right before that, though, I just want to point out, Laurie's dad asked her to drop off the envelope at the house because, again, he's a realtor trying to sell that house, just like the original one. And it's very important. She says, muy importante, that she drops off the envelope. So, yes, while Michael's doing that, she's walking with Tommy Doyle towards the house, just like the original one. So Tommy's like, you can't go in there. My friends at school said you'd get killed if you go in there. She puts the envelope in. Michael's on the other side of the door. She's like, he's got me. The boogeyman's got me. He's got me. Which is funny because he is on the other side of the door. He does not grab her, but I thought it was pretty hilarious. They also bring up other urban legends like the Mexican Wolfman, which was pretty funny.
I did like how the house was sort of used more in this movie than the original,
Sure.
The house was sort of off limits and haunted in the original. It was
Yeah.
just Dr. Loomis kind of hanging out on the outside for for hours.
Well, they did
And
find the dog that he ate in that first one. Like, he killed the dog and he ate him. But you're right. You're right, because the final confrontation happens at Tommy's house and at Lindsay's house. The kids are babysitting.
Right, a different
Right.
place.
Right. Yeah, that's too funny. Then we cut to Laurie, Annie, and Lindsay at the library. Annie, who's played by Daniel Harris, who was in Halloween 4 and 5. She played Laurie Strode's daughter, and who had died off screen before Part 4 happened. So we get to follow her.
And they have their own podcast about horror, which I think is really
Daniel
cool.
Harris and Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
What's
they
it
have
called?
their own. Oh yeah, Scout Taylor Compton and Danielle Harris have a podcast.
We gotta look up you don't know what it's called?
It's a horror podcast. Talk scary to me.
Okay. Talk scary to me. All right, I have to look it up. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. That's cool. I have to look it up. Okay, cool. So, interesting note: Annie is played by Daniel Harris, like we said. The original Annie in the movie was also played by a 29-year-old at the time, and Daniel Harris was 29 at the time of filming it. She turned 30 before it premiered, but she was 29 at the time of filming. But she still looked young enough that they would let her do it. And in fact, Rob Zombie didn't want any returning actors from the remake, but she agreed to do an extremely long chase scene while topless to get the role. But she felt like it was a good move for her as well, because she always was seen by many people as like a child actor, like from Disney and stuff. So she wanted to be known as a grown-up actor. So she wanted to get away from that childhood actor role. But that's the only reason that he agreed to have her. But I think it was awesome for fans of Halloween's 4 and 5 to have her back. She unfortunately was killed in 6, but they recast her as a different actress to do it, which is annoying. I don't know why. But yeah, in the original 4 and 5, she played Laurie Strode's daughter. Annie has this plan, just like in the original movie, where she wants Laurie to watch both kids so that she can get her boyfriend to come over. And in the original movie, she calls him on the phone, but he's never actually seen because she dies when getting into the car. In this one, we actually get to see the boyfriend, which is interesting.
Another interesting part is that Andy survived. Like that.
Yeah,
that just kind of freaked me out. That's so creepy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like it because it brought a character, and for me, it was because so much time in this movie was spent on Michael as a child. I felt like the focus of the movie was for us to care about Michael as a character more, or the character she was going to kill. So for me, I didn't have enough time to warm up to Laurie, but I felt already a connection with Danielle Harris because I knew her from the other movies, that I cared about her character more. So when she lives to be in the next one, I already had an in with enjoying, because in the next one, which we'll talk about later, Laurie has 2 new friends, Mia and Harley, and we don't get to know them much at all. They're just party animals, and they seem to care about her, but there's not enough time for me to grow to care about them before they're killed. They're just like fresh meat, I feel like. But I felt like for Danielle Harris, at least, because I already had that connection from the other movies, I cared about her character at least more than Linda and Laurie.
Mm-hmm. Right.
One other thing in this scene, we're at the library, Laurie looks out and she sees Michael standing out across the street outside a window. Now, this shot is from 1978, like they have it. And it's used many times throughout the Halloween series. It was last seen in H2O, where Laurie's son in H2O is sitting in the classroom, looks out and sees him. But
hide and seek. Michael Myers hide and seek.
Was that what it is?
There.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess in the original, she does look down from a second story like this and sees him by the laundry. Like,
yeah.
there's
he's near the clothesline.
But in that one, he definitely teleports. Because she never looks away. He's there. She never breaks eye contact. And then he's gone.
The guy moves fast.
He's
magic.
When he can. He's magic. I know the directors say he's not, but he's definitely magic. Oh, and then, that scene is also used again in Halloween 2018 later, when Laurie's granddaughter, Allison, looks out from her classroom and she sees Michael standing there as well. No. She sees Laurie standing there and watching her own granddaughter from across the street at school. So she knows she's out there to go talk to her. That's right. It's not Michael in that reference, but it's pretty cool. But again, like always, Michael vanishes.
So going back to the 2 kids in the 1978 version, Lindsay, the little girl, she's very aloof and she's sort of disconnected and in a creepy way. I liked it. In this one, she's engaging more. She talks back.
Sure.
To Annie before they.
That's right. Also, I feel like in the original one, she was more excited about hanging out with Tommy, and they were like friends.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, she was like, "What? I don't want to go over there, so you can get paid to babysit me, but not be babysitting me." Because she knew like the plan. She's like, "I'm not stupid." And Tommy's like, "I don't like girls. Why are you bringing a girl over? I don't like girls."
I think that keeps the movie fresh, though, because just thinking of friends and family in the early 2000s, the kids were like that. And it was a different world in 1978.
We do have a small scene here with three doctors arguing, one of them being Clint Howard's character. And Dr. Loomis, I don't remember the name of the other one, but they're arguing about putting up roadblocks. They said that should be enough. But Loomis wants them to do more. Tell them that you have the boogeyman coming after them, or they call them the original, they call them the shape, but they don't say that in here at all. But I like the difference in the original one is that they're arguing over the fact that Michael stole Dr. Loomis's car and drove away. And Dr. Loomis says, "What are you teaching him to drive around here? Like maybe he took driving lessons. How did he?" He's like, "He can't." The other doctor's like, "He can't drive," and he's like, "Well, he was doing great last night."
6-year-old to 21, not knowing how to drive, and then magically just starts driving. Speaking of which, this last Halloween, we were going around a neighborhood, and I saw Michael Myers driving an UTV through the neighborhood on Halloween night during trick or treating. I thought it was great.
That is funny. Oh my gosh. If we're sharing funny stories on a tangent, I was watching Insidious 2 with Joshua, and we're trying to not lose eye contact because spooky things are going everywhere. I drop some popcorn. He tries to point it out, but I'm not trying to break eye contact. He's trying to point where it is and also not break eye contact. And I got a waffle up my nose, which is more startling than a ghost popping out. Because why is there? Because I was eating popcorn, he was eating a waffle, and it scared the crap out of me, which is a total tangent. But I thought it was hilarious. Like, what a scare. We have a scene where Lindsay kind of establishes her character. She believes she's the self-proclaimed hottest cheerleader in the school, but she got in trouble because she told the teacher that runs the cheerleading squad that why do we have to learn new cheers? Why don't we just not wear underwear, and then the audience won't notice that we're doing the same old cheers because they'll be excited about something else, which made her call her dad. But this is like the point. I'll get to the point here in a second. Like Lori says that Lindsay has her, not Lindsay, Linda, I mess those up all the time. They're too close. Sorry. Lori tells Linda that she has her dad wrapped around her finger, and Linda says the word "totally," which in the first movie is said 11 times. I think I might have
counted them.
Yeah, I think there might be only 4 in this one, just because it's a big deal. Her character says it so much, just on the walk home. Yes, exactly. It is who her character was. So I think she might say it 3 or 4 times in this one. Nowhere near as much. Just like the first movie, Annie runs up to catch up to them, and Laurie points out that Michael is watching them, and just like they catcall Michael just like in the first one. And just like in the first one, Annie points out that her dad is the sheriff. Annie jokes around that Laurie should date him, which happens in the first one, like when Laurie says he's hiding behind the bush, and Annie runs behind the bush, and he's not there because he disappeared again, and she's like, "Hey, I got a hot date for you," which is too funny. All right, inner sheriff Brackett, played by Chucky himself, Brad Dourif. I love this guy and everything. So obviously, he's in all the Chucky movies except for the remake, which I think was Mark Hamill. But I loved him in Critters 4, Critters in Space, which is amazing. It's bad, but I love it because it's bad. And same goes with Alien Resurrection. He was also in Alien Resurrection as well, which is also so bad it's good to me. Michael hasn't gone to space yet, man.
Yeah.
Like we should.
Bessa should shoot him up there with him.
We can get Michael in space. So the sheriff pulls up, offers them a ride home, and he takes the ride. And Linda says she can't stand bacon mobiles. They make her nauseous, which, she just talks to the sheriff that way. It's just like a little... I know she's friends with his daughter, but she gets away with a lot there, I guess. You can't do anything for that, but... So we get Loomis at a graveyard, just like the first one.
I thought it was...
stolen.
Yeah, but this time it's replaced with a dead animal, I think a fox.
Put on, crucified.
On a stick.
That made a cross.
A dead fox on a stick.
Yeah, that's crazy. Then we cut to nighttime. We got Linda and Bob, who roll up in a van. But instead of using the house Annie was babysitting at, in this one they use the Myers house, which apparently is a spot where all kids party and use, and they're trying to sell it, so they're sad it's going to disappear.
Like the original movie, it was sort of like this haunted house, off limits, and this time it's just a teen hangout.
Right, and then when they go in the house, Michael's on the balcony and they don't even notice because they're too into their own world that he's just standing up there waiting for them to come in. which is freaking creepy. They're, trying to have sex, and Bob's leg cramps, which causes him to finish early. And Linda seems annoyed, but he still wants her to tell him he's like 8 out of 10, when she's like 0 out of 10. But she tells him to get a beer.
Later, negative.
yeah. Later she tells him he's a -5, but that's not him.
That's not him.
That's
yeah,
Michael.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. So yeah. So he walks downstairs. He walks outside to get a beer. Lindsay's listening to Blue Oyster Cults.
Yeah, the cool music again.
Don't Feel the Reaper.
Now in the original, also she asked for a beer, and he has to get the beer.
The difference is in the original they had a nice bed because they were in someone's house. And in this one, they're just on the floor. And then Bob is actually wearing the ghost costume in this movie.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because in the first movie, it made no sense why Michael was like, oh, I'll make a ghost costume, poke some high holes, and wear Bob's glasses. Because
this makes more sense.
It makes more sense for Bob to have already been wearing the costume.
See, in the original one, I was like, what did he just pulled a sheet and
he just cut
poked
some
a
holes.
Couple of eye holes in it with his knife.
Yeah, I think it does make more sense here. It's funny, but it's definitely an homage to the original one. But before he puts the costume on, he does pull Bob up by his neck and stab him through the wall and hangs him there.
Yeah, like the original one
yeah.
where the boyfriend's stuck up on a wall with the
right,
knife.
Exactly. And then we had last seen this type of kill in Halloween Resurrection. Although in that one, he uses 2 knives to hold the guy up. I think he was like, I need more structural support. Let me get a second kitchen knife.
Was it a 12-inch knife?
I don't know.
Maybe that's the
Maybe
problem.
he just needed 2 bigger knives. But either way, it still went through the body and through the other side of the wall. So, I mean, they're massive knives. It's just ridiculous. So, just like the original, when he shows up as Ghost Bob, she says, see anything you like, and drops her sheet. She gets creeped out by him really fast, gets really annoyed with him, but then he grabs her by the throat and kills her. We cut to Dr. Loomis buying a gun.
Oh, no, wait.
Well, okay.
I want to talk about Dr. Loomis's character here.
Okay, sure.
I felt in the original 1978 version, he was very much like the order to the movie. Like, he had things figured out. He warned the authorities. He went to the Myers house to kind of wait it out to see Mike Myers to try to find him. He already had a gun in the old one.
He did.
And here he appears a little bit helpless, like he's getting a gun for the first time, and like, do you know how to use it? Are you going to take care of Michael Myers? Because in the original one, I felt more confident in a Dr. Loomis taking care of Michael Myers than
Malcolm McDowell's Loomis.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I looked up so I know I use IMDb.com all the time, like Internet Movie Database, but I found a website called imfdb.org, which is for all about firearms. It's the Internet Movie Firearm Database, right? So I found all the information about the guns here.
Didn't they use Smith & Wessons?
So the one he was looking at is a Smith & Wesson model 617 22LR. But what he convinces him to get is a stainless steel Colt Python with a 4-barrel 357 Magnum.
Bigger, more powerful.
But what the website wants to shout at everybody willing to listen is that the movie, even though Haddonfield is a made-up town, it's still in the state of Illinois. And even in this year, in 2007, you had to have a 3-day waiting period and still file for a firearm owner's identification card before you're allowed to get a gun. So Dr. Loomis, if this was happening in real life, would have had to wait 3 days to get the gun. And the website is so adamant that this is why people think there's no gun control, because movies portray it as anybody can just walk in and get a gun at any time, which is hilarious.
That's interesting. Well, you know what, the Myers mom in this movie, she commits suicide also with, I think, a Smith & Wesson gun of some kind. In the original, there wasn't really an explanation of what happened to the Myers parents that I can recall, but clearly she's got a gun too, and
this is true. And then one other note about the gun store is that the guy selling the gun is Mickey from the Monkees. The band The Monkees.
Oh,
I just thought that was
so
cool. I just what an homage. I was like, that's pretty darn cool. Then we get a scene where Laurie's hanging out with her mother, handing out candy, and then she's leaving to go with Annie, and Dad reminds her to be careful.
Now, there was sort of a mystery behind Laurie's parents in the original, where they had gone off, I think, to a party
Oh, sure.
Even
because
even
they're
when Lori was
babysitting,
in the
right?
hospital, there was, the hospital's trying to contact her parents. They couldn't reach them. It's very clear where Lori's parents are here, and it's very clear what happens to them too.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Like it doesn't take long for Michael just to go in there and kill him right away, which is like, oh, I like D. Wallace. They kill everybody I like. I'm glad they're in the movie though. But yeah, he kills them pretty fast. Then so we cut to Laurie and Tommy Doyle. Laurie's babysitting Tommy. In this movie, Tommy is dressed all in red with skeleton makeup, opposed to the original movie where he wore a NASA outfit,
I didn't
like an
notice that.
astronaut. Which, I mean, if you think about the timing, right? The moon landing was late 60s, so astronauts would still be a big deal to kids at that moment. Kids would want to, like, I want to grow up to be an astronaut
period.
because of that. So I think, like, setting in it now, it made sense to change the outfit. Even though, like, being an astronaut's still really cool. Maybe the kids, it's not the first thing they think about when they go for a Halloween costume.
That reminds me. They were watching a space horror movie. I didn't recognize which one, but in both movies, they were watching a horror movie with space UFO coming down on the television.
Right. Was this not also a thing from another world?
What was that? What it was?
I don't know.
I didn't catch.
I'm not sure
which one it was, but you're probably right.
Because that's what they were watching in the original.
Yeah, that's probably what they were watching.
I know at one point in the movie they're actually watching the 1920s movie White Zombie, which is I think a reference to Rob Zombie's original band White
that's cool.
Zombie. So I'm not sure when they're watching that. I think that might be earlier in the movie, which is pretty funny. So we get Annie, who's trying to convince Lindsay to go over to visit Tommy. Michael is standing right behind them when they're walking over there. And then we get another scene of Loomis trying to convince Sheriff Brackett that Michael is dangerous. And the sheriff isn't too concerned. The sheriff doesn't believe that one man could have just stolen the tombstone. He says, I'll look into it tomorrow. He doesn't want to look into it today. And he's like, tomorrow's too late. Evil's among us, is what Loomis tells him. Which is interesting. In the first movie, I felt like the sheriff was instantly listening to Loomis and did everything Loomis asked him to do.
At first, there was some hesitation at the very beginning.
Okay.
But then, like, once I think he realized the weight of the matter,
Sure.
he started listening to Dr. Loomis. And that's where Dr. Loomis's order kind of comes into the old movie. He was sort of looked up to as the psychiatrist that was caring for for Michael Myers. And yeah, I do think that Dr. Loomis's character in the new one I mentioned it's sort of like he's helpless. He's not as strong of a personality. He's sort of hiding behind, even not to jump ahead too far, but the police fire the first shot at Michael Myers and they hit him.
Right.
Versus the old movie where, at the end of Halloween 1 in 1978 and the first Halloween 2, he pumps him with 6 slugs.
Right.
Dr. Loomis does.
Right.
Much different character.
There's a scene here which is also an homage to the first one where Annie brings up that she's talked to Ben Tramer about dating Laurie, and his response is, dude, she's fucking hot. Which is funny because they mentioned Ben Tramer in the original. Laurie says she's attracted to him. We never see him in the first movie. We see him in the second. He's hit by a police car and like blows up.
Oh, that guy. He was
wearing
the mask.
He was wearing a Halloween mask.
He was wearing a mask.
But yeah, so it's interesting they bring him up again, but we don't see him again. Eventually, Dr. Loomis gets information out of Sheriff Brackett that when he shows him a book, he's reading a book, he tells him that the secret that Laurie is Angel Myers. Like Laurie is now is the secret identity. He's been keeping a secret forever.
Now, he hadn't revealed that in the original movies yet, right?
He didn't reveal it. Yeah, it wasn't a thing in the first movie. In Halloween 2, that's when it was mentioned that Laurie was originally.
But see, there's still this like unknown, suspenseful,
right.
Who is this person? But yeah, he reveals it a little bit earlier in the
Sure, right, yeah, he tells him, which it's definitely a mistake. We get more conversation between Tommy about the boogeyman, which is with Lindsay, and when they joke around and start teaming up and tickling Laurie, which is just a cute scene between them. And then we cut to Annie and Paul having sex. We get to see Paul in this movie because we didn't see him in the other one. And Michael is standing right over them while they're having sex. And neither of them notice.
They're into the moment. They're really into the moment.
Yeah, they don't notice at all. But then he grabs Paul right up, kills Paul right away, and he starts running, and this starts a really long chase scene with her topless running as Michael's chasing her and killing her.
But he doesn't kill her, and he survives.
Yeah. Right.
And
Lori comes in, like the sheriff is on their way, and with Loomis, deputies come.
but also Lori brings the little girl with her.
Yeah, well, she's trying to walk her back to her house. Like, I'm done
Uh,
babysitting you. Let me give you back to Annie. Like, she walks in the house. It's like, Annie, you better be decent. And that's when she sees Annie on the floor, cut up like crazy, blood everywhere.
She doesn't die, which is
Right.
creepy.
She gets to the
To
ground.
me.
She tells Lindsay to run across the street, run back, and call 911. So she's running, screaming, help, 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 help. Michael slowly opens the front door because when she opened the door to go in, Michael was hiding behind it, which is crazy. So she...
Hide and seek master.
Right, yeah, exactly. We see Paul's hanging there. This is where I say it's art because his face is kind of missing and he's hung
I
up.
saw that. Yeah, he
and
mutilated his face. I think, in fact, wasn't he on the ground and Michael was stomping on him or something?
Right, like stomped on his
Yeah.
face. Right. Yeah, so I think that's an example right there of where he displays his art. Then Lori runs back across the street. She hides in a bathroom with the kids. The police are on their way. One of the deputies goes to tell Sheriff Brackett that a 911 call came in. No, they're already on their way. I'm so sorry. Hold up. I'm mixing up part 2 and 1 here. I apologize. The sheriffs pull up while they're hiding in the bathroom, and they're trying to tell her to unlock the door. The sheriff is grabbed before Laura can do it, and they killed, I guess, the deputies that are there then. I guess the question is, if they had called 911 about Annie's house, the sheriff showed up to Tommy's house. Not Annie, the house that Annie was at. Lindsay's house. Right? The sheriff, I guess I don't know why the sheriff showed up there.
So I think Dr. Loomis came in here and sort of figured out where that Michael had found Lori, and they needed to go find, basically go over there where Michael was to stop him.
Okay, so the kids come out screaming to Dr. Loomis, and Loomis tells them to wait by the ambulance. And this is where they find Annie. Annie is rescued.
And Lindsay, the little girl, she just takes this, like, she's screaming a little bit, but she seems okay. Like, right. I don't know if I could have been like that as a kid. I'd be much more freaked out. Right. Okay, so then Michael picks up Lori and carries her to the old Myers house. I did like how they use this house a lot, the Myers house, a lot more in this movie. And it's sort of like this lair for Michael Myers, which I thought was creepy and cool in a way, that he's got this lair that he's just pulling his victims to, or his, special victims to.
I would say the only movie to use it more would have been Halloween Resurrection. Because in that, it's like Busta Rhymes' character with Tyra Banks have made it like a reality TV show. Like, can you survive a night in the boogeyman's house? So most of the movie is in this house while Michael's going around killing everybody. But yes, you're right. They do use a lot more in this one. So when Lori wakes up in the Myers house, she sees Linda's body, and there's also a tombstone, sitting up there, just like in the original movie. Mm-hmm. It's set up like she's his older sister. He slowly walks up to her, drops the knife, and pulls out the picture of them two, as her as a baby, the baby angel, and him as young Michael. And Lori doesn't understand. She grabs a knife, stabs him in the shoulder, and she runs behind a locked door. What's up?
Oh, I was just thinking that Michael Myers' character at this point, he's sort of trusting Lori, which I thought was interesting. Like, even a serial killer can trust somebody at one point, and that goes on, like, even in the next few minutes.
Yeah, he wants her to be part of the family with him again, but she doesn't understand because he doesn't talk. If he would just say, "Hey, I'm your brother," maybe they could have, gotten something going on here. But just because, I don't know, he took a vow of silence, she stabs him. Like, gonna work.
Vow of silence.
It's also funny that she stabs him in the left shoulder. Also notice that the cop that shot him earlier also shot him in the left shoulder. I think the guys are aiming poorly.
Well, Dr. Loomis thinks he's not human. He says that a few times. He's taking shots, he's getting stabbed, and he's getting beat up, and he keeps going. Right. So after she stabs him, Michael's like, fine, puts the mask back on, grabs a knife, and goes after her. She goes outside, she lands in a pool. It's all dried up, there's no water, just leaves everywhere. Michael walks out, there's no way for her to escape. She tries to crawl up the wall of the deep end, but you can't, crawl up the school. And then Dr. Loomis walks up, tries to reason with Michael. Now, before this, there was an interesting thing that happened with the balcony, right? Okay. Was that where in the original movie, Dr. Loomis shoots Michael Myers multiple times and he falls off the balcony. But in this case, I think it happens a little bit later. Oh, you're right. Yeah. So here,
he shoots Michael 3
edit
times.
that out later.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So here, Dr. Loomis comes up. He shoots him 3 times. He gets Lori, takes her to the car. We get the same line from the first movie. Was that the boogeyman? And he says, as a matter of fact, I do believe it was.
Now, with the angle of that gun, I noticed he was aiming for Michael Myers, but Laurie's directly behind him. He's got a 357, you said, right?
You think it would have gone through both of them?
I don't know. That might have been a goof.
Yeah.
To have a shot like that.
Maybe so supernatural. The bullets
it's
just
behind.
disintegrated. I don't know.
He's not human.
Right, he's not human. That's the answer. So then, after he's like, I do believe it was. Michael breaks the window. He's not dead. He pulls Lori out of the car. This is where she runs back into the house. She tries to escape into the ceiling, and he uses a 2x4 and starts destroying the ceiling. And when she finally falls through,
oh, the destruction of the house is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they are destroying it.
You know, I do like that a lot.
But I think it's funny that when she finally falls through, it's in a point that he didn't damage. He's destroyed everything. Like, she doesn't fall. She gets to a complete
one spot,
and then that's when she falls through.
He's just ripping it apart.
Yeah.
Destroy.
Right. And so I think at some point here is where Loomis comes in again, grabs him, and they fall off the balcony. Right.
But Loomis this time, he's not the guy who does it. You know, in the original, he's sort of the guy that shoots Michael Myers and shoots him off the balcony. He falls. Laurie, in this case, is the person that grabs him.
Thank you.
And they
Laurie
fall
takes
together
him out of
off the balcony.
You're right. My bad.
In a pool of blood. So much blood again.
And she lands on top of him. So should be less injured. She gets the gun. This is weird to me, right? So at this point I was thinking, wait, he only shot 3 times. Why there's no more bullets? She clicks twice, and then the third one hits him in the head. It explodes, and blood goes all over her. And she starts screaming while the iconic music plays, which I love the music. Okay.
Oh, the screaming. So in the beginning, if you remember right, when she was a baby, when she was baby Boo, and she's just screaming all the time, her stepdad's like, that kid keeps, just crying. I forget exactly what he says, but then at the end, I thought that was cool how they had Laurie screaming.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of the baby screaming again.
So I want to go back to the gun real quick, though. So Loomis would have had to loaded only 4 rounds into the gun, missed 2 in his nervousness, and they'd be perfectly timed. So he shot Michael 3 times. Laurie
maybe it spun. Maybe the barrel spun. Yeah, I don't know.
The commotion? Maybe. I guess that's possible.
That could have been.
That makes more sense than I'm gonna only load 4 chambers.
There's something wrong with that gun.
Yeah, maybe. That's a brand new gun.
It had a pearl handle too. It was a fancy thing.
It was a fancy thing. All right, so that's the credits. I do have some other trivia. Let's see here if I have anything else.
Okay, Dr. Loomis, when he's in the car, he quotes Shakespeare, which I thought was so cool. It's Rob Zombie, who likes to pull in all of these other characters and quotes from great places. He pulls in a Shakespeare quote that I think's great. He's mad that trusts the tameness of a wolf.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Well, this has been the Nightmare Echoes podcast. Bye.